Nancy here, and right now I want to show you how to do some real basic blocking of a few things I have here. I use Knitter's Block, which are fairly new on the market. You can get them either online or you can find them in your local yarn shops. You're also going to need some nice absorbent towels, probably towels you keep specifically for blocking. And you're going to use my favorite product, which is Soak. And I like it, you don't have to rinse it out, and you can just spray it in your bucket here. This is my blocking bucket, in cool water. And it doesn't need to be rinsed out, as I said, and the smell is wonderful. They have unscented ones, and this is actually a 3-pack I purchased, so you can kind of try the ones you like the best. You will need blocking pins if it's a shawl, something, the non-rust T-pins work great. You also would need a yardstick if you need to block to some measurements. So we're going to do some real easy blocking here. But for the most part, these are the things you'll need. So I'm going to get things ready here, and then you can check back with me, and then we're going to actually do some blocking. Hi, Nancy back again, and what I've been doing in my bucket here, I've added the unscented soak, and I put some more boards together, and let me dry my hand off here. I want to show you something that's so nice about these. They're just like a puzzle. You just pop them together, and you can make them as big or in whatever shape you really need. I do have a large blocking board that folds in half, and I do like that for certain things because it has the measurements on it already, but for the most part, this is a real slick thing. And if you do a lot of knitting and blocking, it's money well spent. It's really, I think, quite reasonable. Now, I've been soaking this for 15 minutes as the bottle recommends. This soap product you can use for hand washing, for really anything, and it just makes your stuff so nice. I have found the more I use it, the better it is. When in doubt, always test, knit up some little piece of the yarn, test it, read your label, read the instructions on the pattern. If it says definitely do not wet block it, you probably want to use steam or whatever the manufacturer recommends it. But for the most part, the things I use or make is just a real basic where you can actually wet block them. The way I see it, you're going to have to wash it eventually anyways, or launder it somehow. Alright, so now these have been soaking plenty long, and you don't want to wring your work, because that's really going to twist it and get it out of shape. I have a hat, I have a shawl, and I also have a couple gauge swatches in there. When I make things, particularly sweaters, I do my gauge off of a blocked swatch. And the reason I do that is because sometimes things can happen and you can get surprises that aren't good ones. Alright, so now here is the hat. I've just laid it out. It's still pretty wet. Even if we've got dry weather and this stuff dries really fast, you always want to let your things rest for a minimum of 24 hours before you take it off your blocking boards. If you have shawls, it's a must. You really have to block them. And it sets your stitches. It just does a really nice job. So notice what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of trying to get as much water out of it as possible. And I'm trying to be gentle because I don't want to twist it. And I'm going to roll it back out. And I'm going to switch it over and I'm going to do the other side of the towel. And like I say, keep this towel away from the family. This is a towel that you should keep that's special just for your knitting. A good absorbent Egyptian cotton works great. Okay. Alright. So I'm giving it a good squish, and I think we're good on that. Now, this hat really doesn't need anything. It's already knit to size, and all I'm going to do, just kind of make sure everything's nice, and I'm going to set it here and allow it to dry. It's done. We're just going to allow it to dry. Now, I may or may not, depending how it's doing tomorrow morning, I'll probably flip it over. I wish you could feel how nice and soft this is. It's already just made it so much nicer. And my daughter made that. That's my daughter's first knitted hat. I'm very proud of her. Okay. Alright. And now I'm going to take a fresh towel because And I'm gonna lay these side by side. They're so little they can sit and share the same towel, it won't be a problem. Now you're gonna notice something here, and maybe you're gonna see why I do block my gauge swatches before I get serious about measurement. Particularly this ribbed one, it's gonna change a lot. Even after it dries, it's not gonna be the same. And that is so worth noting, because when you make a sweater, you spend hours putting that thing together, knitting it. The expense of the yarn, and only to find it doesn't work. It's not. Okay, so here are my gauge swatches. And you'll notice they're larger than they were before. And like I said before, that's worth noting. If this were a sweater and it was ribbing, I would definitely want to know that this is now a larger piece of fabric than it was before I blocked it. Some people tell me, what difference does it make? But at some point in time, you are going to have to launder your sweater or your scarves or whatnot. Even if you say, I'm going to dry clean them, eventually over time dry cleaning will do the same thing. So really all this is telling you is that you would need to adjust your needle size accordingly, and it's not anything scary, it's just a fact, and it's something, you know, you want to address. I'm not going to pin this. I want it to dry naturally. I don't want anything forcing the shape whatsoever, because it would be defeating the purpose. So I'm just going to let those dry naturally, and I kind of have a feeling what they're going to do, but we're going to see. Now I'm going to do my shawl. How large this is after blocking. So I'm going to just try to get this all in here. And good thing I have an extra towel, because it's going to need it. These boards, the stuff dries really well. But try to give it a lot of pressure here to get it to dry nicely. As much as I can get out now. And again, if I didn't mention it before, a fan is great. A fan will really, really help speed the process up. Okay, now this towel is drenched. It is drenched. So I'm going to take this out. I think you can see why we block shawls, because it gives them that open, airy appearance that is really the trademark of a shawl. It's huge. It will go back into shape. And I'm probably not doing this as carefully as I would normally do, but for the purpose of demonstration, I'm just kind of rushing it a bit. Okay. Okay. Now, surprise, surprise, let's see what we have in here. Okay. So, I've squeegeed out as much water as I can. I'm going to set those to the side. And let me show you something that's nice. I need more board. And all I have to do is add on more board. Just like a puzzle. I wish I would have thought of something like this. My mind doesn't work like this. But I appreciate everyone out there whose mind does work like this. So I am going to bring this around here. For now, I'm actually going to move these. I want you to me right now, it's more important you see me pin this. And I'm going to take this out here. And this is where your straight yardstick comes in handy, so you've got an edge to line it up against so that you know you're doing a good job. There is a center stitch here. So I usually try to get it down to the corner. I'm going to reach over and get my pins. And this one, I'm going to start right down the corner. And I always come in like this direction, and then I go back in. There are blocking wires, certain lace things, I do use those for, but I don't really find it necessary for this. It's the same principle, but, and I'm going to just kind of get this all, and you can kind of shift it around, and I do that quite a bit actually. It's like, it doesn't look quite right, so I start over again. And I'm not doing a great job. I'm just, for demonstration, trying to do an okay job. Okay. All right. And then I like to pin. I just figure you can't use too much pin. So I've got several here. And I think it's starting to look like a shawl somewhat here, hopefully. Once I get it pinned out, then I will measure to make sure all my corners and my depth and the length and width are all about the same. This one could be pulled up just a little more straight. I'm going to pull this side out just a little more straight than I did the other side, so that everything dries in the correct shape, because how I pin it is how it will dry. And it will lighten back up again, of course. Even if it's acrylic, it will change your fibers. Not a lot, but it does make it look nicer. Alright, this is going to need more work, and it's going to need probably more pins, and I usually mess around with these things for 10 minutes before I get it the way I like it. However, for the most part, that is how you block garments. Thank you.